Hi, Pheaney, and everybody else that might be watching this video. We've actually had about 3 occasions in the last week where people were asking us about the Apostolic Speedboat. And so Deb and I wanted to share this illustration with Pheaney and with you all in order to get a handle on the kind of the pace of an apostolic team or an apostolic band. So Deb is going to talk us through this illustration. So, hun, what does this look like, the apostolic speedboat?
Okay, so when we say apostolic speedboat, kind of what we're talking about is like there's this boat in the water and it's going at a pretty rapid clip, and it seems kind of crazy, but as it's spinning, propelling forward, it is putting all kinds of disciples and churches in its wake. And so even though it seems like it's crazy, it's really also being very fruitful. And then you've got on the edge or the back, you got the crazy person, aka me, hanging on to the edge, because maybe this is going a little faster. It is a fast pace, but I think there are some things that we can do to work with it and to like get used to being able to understand and help someone who's apostolic.
So we want to help you not hang on for dear life, but enjoy the ride.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And so when you look at this is kind of the picture that you see Jesus and Paul and other apostolic ministries in the Bible. But let's take a look at Jesus. There was a time where Jesus was moving so fast that it said they didn't even have time to eat. And his people, his family, thought that he had lost his mind and they were going to rescue him from this pace, this activity. But this is really typical of the apostolic. But now there's some differences between us and Jesus. What are some of those differences, huh?
Well, I think Jesus was single, so obviously he didn't have the responsibility of a wife or children.
He didn't have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And he obviously didn't have a house, so he didn't have to mow the lawn. And there's a lot of things that Jesus, by his lifestyle, by being single, by being in full-time ministry, could devote that discretionary time to the ministry, and the pace could be a lot quicker. So you and I have experienced this over the years. I'm pretty apostolic. I run, or used to run, at a pretty good clip.
Mhm.
Kind of slowed down these days, but it's hard to be fast with a walker. But what were some of the compromises? What were some of the adjustments that we made over the years in order to bring you into the boat versus flapping in the back?
Yeah, well, I think in our case, I feel like you've been super gracious over the years to kind of bring me up to where you're at a lot of times by slowing the pace down enough for me to catch up. And I think about one illustration in particular was when we made the decision to come to San Antonio, and your challenge was, hey, let's just do like when Jesus sent out the 12, we'll just like whatever we can put in a backpack and on a plane, land at the airport and look for a person apiece. And I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And like as we kind of flesh that out, like that was not the final answer in your mind either, but like, wouldn't it be cool if we did something like this? And as we were dialoguing, I'm kind of like, well, walking was the transportation of Jesus' day, but really in our day, in our culture, having a vehicle is, pretty normal mode of transportation. So what if we took a car and anything we could put in the car? And you were like, yeah, that sounds great, and most people would think that that's crazy, because we sold all our possessions except for what we could put in the car, gave the money to the poor and followed Jesus to San Antonio. And so, yeah, I think, but we didn't get there overnight. Yeah, for sure.
So it was a give and take over the years, going through the seasons, going through the process of trusting God as we did new things, new people, new places, my apostolic unction kind of driving us forward, but we work together on that. And that's really important. But it's not just important for family. We have other giftings that we need to consider as shepherds and teachers, the prophets, the evangelists. How do we get all of them in the apostolic boat with us? So those are some things we need to consider. And it's the same process: communication, give and take, stay on mission, but doing it together, doing it as a team. Any final words?
Yeah, I think, I think apostolic it's kind of an interesting concept, especially in our culture these days. Like normally we see apostolics, oh, you need to go overseas and be a missionary, and it's like, we don't quite know what to do with them. And so I think if we we see that as, like a gifting, and, God has wired some people this way, and we can celebrate that and encourage it, then I think, even though it may be kind of scary watching that boat zoom by, it really is useful, and it can be very, very fruitful. And so, yeah, so I think, if you're thinking, oh, that makes sense, I think I might be apostolic, that's why nobody, everybody's just hanging off the boat, most people are flying off or whatever. Well, it's like, well, you need to, like, watch the pace, especially if your family is the ones flying off, because I think at this point I'm no longer hanging on to the edge, and most of the time I'm not hanging on to the edge anymore, but I think it felt like that initially for sure.
Yeah. Hey, we do want to give a plug for Pheaney's podcast. It's called On the Road to NPL, and you can find that. A link will be in the video's description below. So really encourage you to check out his podcast. It's fantastic. You're going to get a lot of good information. You'll be encouraged and you'll be challenged. So check that out. So thanks for spending time with Deb and I, and listening to the Apostolic Speedboat, and we'll catch up with you next time.